Hello everyone and welcome to Sunup. I'm Lyndall Stout. Soybean harvest is winding down across Oklahoma, and here to talk about it is Josh Lofton, our Extension Cropping Systems Specialist. Josh, give us an idea of what you're seeing around Oklahoma.
Well, the good thing is it looks like Mother Nature's turned off the water faucet for the time being. And so I know it's really good for our winter crop producers, but we desperately needed to get a lot of these summer crops out of the ground. And we're seeing a beginning to the end of some of our full season soybean, a lot of our grain sorghum crop. We're starting to see a lot of growers wrap up. And what we're seeing is potentially very positive results from the field as far as a yield perspective goes.
Let's talk about quality, and you have some examples in your hand right now.
Yeah, that's where we have kind of fallen down this year. You know, if you're a soybean producer, you have soybeans out in the field, you know that some of our really early soybeans were ready to harvest maybe a month ago. And so they've been out in the field, dry, potentially very mature during all of these rainfall events. And what we're actually seeing and hearing from around the field is that we're seeing very, very low quality soybeans. Like I said, the yields are often there, but what we have is lower quality soybeans. And this is actually a bad sample. It's not a good sample, but I've seen worse out in the countryside this year. This comes from a lot of different things. Something like this really, really green bean comes from the plant just getting hit by the freeze, maybe wasn't fully mature, and it's getting stuck with that green coloring to those beans. Some of these other things to where you see these darkening colors, that's actually what we call soybean weathering. And that has many different causes. Phomopsis is the pathogen that we typically associate with it. And it's something that comes in late season to where we have some sort of issue to where the water is getting into the pod. And then that water is sitting there and essentially molding those soybeans in the pod. The more this soybean stays in the field, the worse this quality is going to be. So if we are in areas that we can get the soybeans out, growers need to be prioritizing that above all else, getting in the field, getting the soybeans out. The other big thing that I hadn't heard too much, but we found this morning is we're getting some sprouting in the pod. And that's a very bad thing. That can be very detrimental. We see that this middle bean here has actually started to try to make a leaf. The trifoliates of that bean are trying to come out, and that's going to be very bad, especially if growers have a lot of it in the bin. That's bad because it spikes our moisture, it's bad quality, but it also makes it very challenging to harvest. So as soon as growers can get out in the field, that needs to be priority number one.
We'll hope for some sunshine so they can wrap it up.
Warm sunshine would be great.
I'm sure you're already kind of thinking about what the takeaways are for the next growing season. What kind of advice can you give producers so they can start thinking about that?
Yeah, so right now is a great time that once you start getting your yields back, you can get your yield maps, you can start evaluating what we're going to do next year, determine where our crops are going to go, specifically our soybean producers, where they have soybean fields. The takeaway, almost the post-mortem for this, is to say we had a lot of big pressure from some of our insects, namely our stink bugs this year. And I think a lot of this weathering has to do with how much stink bug pressure we had this year. So look into your stink bug management, particularly make sure that we're scouting for those in a timely nature. Other than that, if we do have a challenging fall like this, try to get your soybeans out early. I know we can't predict Mother Nature, I wish we could, but if we're getting kind of to that time, try to get those combines rolling through the field as early as possible, because the more they sit in the field in this stage to where they're finished, the worse quality is going to be, and then yields will start to degrade as well.
Okay, thanks a lot, Josh. We'll see you again soon.